Ethan hesitated outside Liam's room, his hand hovering over the doorknob. He was about to turn it when footsteps approached from behind, measured and confident. A low voice spoke, laced with amusement. He wasn't going to the gala, so what was the esteemed Mr. Caldwell doing loitering outside his door? Ethan froze. He turned to see Liam, dressed in a sharp tuxedo that accentuated his lean frame and striking features. The formal wear made him seem impossibly polished, and Ethan was struck by the realization that Liam was a good half-foot taller. Standing before him, Liam cast an imposing shadow. His gaze was intense, and Ethan felt a familiar prickle of anxiety. Liam wondered aloud if the bullying he'd endured for the past few days hadn't been enough, if Ethan was back for another round. Ethan managed a strained smile, assuring Liam he was only there out of concern. The lie felt flimsy even to him. It was only that morning that the horrifying truth had settled upon him. He was living out a script, cast as the villainous foil in a story not his own. He was Ethan Caldwell, the spoiled, cruel imposter son. He was meant to covet the affections of the story's hero and resent the talents of its other protagonist, Liam, the true heir who had been recently welcomed back into the family. But Ethan, the imposter, viewed him as a threat, subjecting him to a relentless campaign of petty cruelty. Tonight was the family's gala to officially introduce Liam. But according to the script, Ethan had arranged for Liam to be drugged, hoping to cause a public scandal that would ruin him. Instead, a young man named Julian Vance, the story's intended romantic hero, was supposed to stumble into Liam's room by mistake. A night of passion would follow, and thanks to the story's convenient logic, Liam would not only emerge unscathed but would have won the hero's heart and secured his own happy ending. Meanwhile, Ethan, the villain, was destined for a miserable, lonely death in some forgotten place. Upon realizing this, Ethan had frantically tried to gauge how far along the plot had progressed. The good news was that Liam and Julian hadn't yet had their fated encounter. The bad news was that his hired help had proudly confirmed the drug had been administered. They guaranteed a spectacular downfall for Liam. There was no antidote. So yes, Ethan was genuinely concerned about Liam's well-being. His own fate depended on it. But his words sounded suspicious. He added, shifting his gaze, that if Liam felt unwell in any way, he absolutely had to tell him. The statement hung in the air, reeking of insincerity. Liam's expression was one of pure confusion. Ethan's mind raced. Maybe he should just run. But Liam seemed perfectly fine. Perhaps his goons had botched the job. They weren't exactly the sharpest tools in the shed. It was possible Liam had never even touched the drug drink. While Ethan's thoughts were spinning, Liam reached past him, opened the door, and then seized his wrist. He pulled Ethan inside the room with an undeniable strength that Ethan couldn't fight. The door clicked shut, the lock turning with a heavy finality. Liam advanced on him, backing him into a corner until the wall was cold against his shoulders. Liam's voice, now low and menacing, fell upon him from above. He said Ethan's name, a quiet. He advised Ethan to drop whatever charade he was playing and confess his scheme now, because later, begging for mercy wouldn't work. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs as he looked up into Liam's dark, unyielding eyes. Liam promised that he wouldn't let him get away with it. Trapped in the room, a sense of doom washed over Ethan. In the dim light, memories of his recent, scripted cruelty surfaced. He remembered coming downstairs one morning to find Liam making instant coffee. Ethan had wrinkled his nose in disgust and ordered a servant to throw it out, sneering about such penniless trash not being allowed in his house. Liam had simply stared at him, his jaw tight, before silently getting a glass of water. Emboldened by his lack of resistance, the scripted Ethan had escalated his torment. Every encounter was an opportunity for a jab about his low-class manners, him not to embarrass the Caldwell name. He would laugh as Liam's face darkened with unspoken anger. He'd had Liam's old clothes, the few possessions he'd brought with him, thrown away. When Liam confronted him, Ethan had just smirked, calling them rags that would dirty the house. The list of offenses was long and shameful. Thinking back, Ethan could only marvel at his character's pure, idiotic malevolence. He had stolen another's life and then flaunted his position with such arrogance. No wonder his end was so bleak. Through all of it, Liam's composure had been unshakable, a cold, hard stone that refused to crack, no matter how much pressure Ethan applied. It was no surprise he was so wary now. In Liam's eyes, Ethan was nothing but trouble. Liam suddenly stepped back, flipping on a light switch. He scrutinized Ethan, his voice cutting through the tension. He asked why Ethan was here when he had previously been so fixated on Julian Vance. Or was this, he wondered, just another one of Ethan's schemes? In the original script, Ethan had indeed been obsessed with Julian. But the man standing here now was no longer that person. He wanted to scream that Liam was the true heir, that he would never dream of competing for his love interest. Instead, he maintained his character's facade, deflecting with a pout. He asked if he wasn't even allowed to show a little concern now that they were, for all intents and purposes, family. He feigned offense, turning as if to leave, muttering about his good intentions being unappreciated. He reached the door, his hand on the knob, freedom inches away. Then Liam's voice came again, this time strained, a rough edge to it. "Did you drug me?" Ethan swallowed hard, unable to resist a glance over his shoulder. He saw Liam rip off his perfectly tied bow tie, tossing it onto the bed. His dark eyes were locked on Ethan's face as he began unfastening the top buttons of his shirt, his steps closing the distance between them. There was nowhere to run. Ethan held his breath and squeezed his eyes shut, bracing for impact. A moment later, his collar was seized, and he was slammed back against the wall. The cold seeped through his shirt. At such close range, he could see the flush spreading across Liam's neck and chest. His words were clipped, each one heavy with fury. He had tolerated all of Ethan's previous antics, assuming it was just a tantrum, a way of lashing out at a reality he couldn't accept. He had thought Ethan had some limits, but he had been wrong. The contempt in Liam's voice was palpable as he accused him of stooping to something as low as drugging someone. There was no point in denying it. Ethan's shoulders slumped in defeat. So what if I did? Liam's eyes narrowed, his grip tightening until Ethan struggled to breathe. He demanded the antidote. Ethan could only croak out the truth. There wasn't one. Liam looked like he wanted to hit him, but his ragged breaths and the heat radiating from his skin betrayed his compromised state. With his last ounce of control, Liam closed his eyes and leaned forward, his forehead resting against Ethan's. He asked, his voice a raw whisper, what Ethan's ultimate goal was. He confessed that he truly didn't understand what he had done to deserve such relentless, calculated cruelty. Guilt, sharp and overwhelming, pierced through Ethan. Whether it was the Liam from the script or the man standing before him now, he was a decent person. The scripted Ethan had antagonized him at every turn. Yet Liam had never retaliated, never complained to their parents. According to the original plot, this was the final straw that would push him to seek revenge. How could he atone for this and stop the story from playing out? Perhaps the only way to fix it was with the one thing he had to offer. He raised his hands and looped them around Liam's neck. In Liam's astonished gaze, Ethan leaned in close, his lips brushing against his ear. He whispered his next words, their meaning left entirely to Liam's interpretation. "I drugged you, and now I'm in your room. What do you think my intentions are?" A frantic knocking echoed from the door. A clear voice called out. It was Julian Vance. Mr. Caldwell had said he couldn't find Ethan and had asked Julian to check on Liam. The hero had arrived right on schedule. Ethan tried to push Liam away, whispering that someone was looking for him. But Liam was now methodically kissing his collarbone, making his knees weak. He wondered who was really under the drug's influence, as Liam seemed entirely unconcerned. Liam's voice was a low murmur against his skin. He corrected Ethan, saying Julian was looking for both of them. It was maddening. Just as Ethan opened his mouth to argue, a wave of sensation crashed through him, so intense it made his vision swim and his ears ring. He barely suppressed a gasp. Liam chuckled, a low, rumbling sound. "Then you tell him," he whispered, "that we're busy." The bastard. Ethan nearly blacked out. Ultimately, Liam showed a sliver of mercy. Ethan heard his composed voice call through the door. He was sorry, but Ethan was feeling a bit unwell. He would be out as soon as he had him settled. Listening to him, no one would ever guess the debauched acts the seemingly respectable man was committing. Once Julian's footsteps had faded down the hall, Ethan aimed a sharp kick at Liam, but his ankle was caught easily. Liam studied his expression, a slow smile spreading across his face. He remarked on the irony of the great Ethan Caldwell, who found him so distasteful, willingly coming to his room. He mused if this was a case of actions speaking louder than words. Ethan wanted to curse him, but all that came out was a broken sigh. A moment later, he was pulled into an embrace, warm breath ghosting over his ear. Liam whispered, his tone teasing, how just days ago his clothes were too dirty for the Caldwell house. Yet now Ethan didn't seem to mind him dirtying. He couldn't finish. Ethan, mortified, slapped a hand over his mouth. Thanks, but his services were no longer required. He was too loud. The next morning, they sat side by side at the breakfast table. Their mother commented with satisfaction that she was glad to see they were getting along. She had worried their relationship was strained. Ethan and Liam shared a knowing, silent glance before focusing intently on the cheesecake the cook had prepared. It was indeed very strained before today. Now, things had progressed at a dizzying speed. His mother smiled at him. She mentioned that Liam had taken care of him all night while he was sick and asked if he had remembered to thank him. He had. Liam had taken very good care of him, leaving him to clean up the mess afterward while Ethan had passed out from exhaustion. The idea of thanking the man who had wrecked him all night felt absurd. He glanced at Liam, who seemed even more flustered, his eyes darting away. A sense of victory surged through Ethan. Of course, he said, nudging Liam playfully. Liam took excellent care of me. He stressed the words, adding, I've never slept so soundly. A sharp clatter echoed in the quiet room. Liam had dropped his fork. The smirk on Ethan's face was impossible to suppress. Later, as Ethan washed his hands in the kitchen, Liam appeared behind him with the soiled fork. While Liam bent over the sink, Ethan impishly flicked water from his hands, splattering Liam's face. Liam looked up and Ethan turned to flee, but a hand shot out and grabbed his shirt. He opened his mouth to protest, but Liam's lips covered his, silencing him. After a long, thorough kiss, Liam finally released him. He met Ethan's shocked gaze and said smoothly, You had some cream on your mouth. Just helping you clean it up. The nerve of this guy. But Ethan wouldn't let him have the last word. He leaned in, blowing a soft breath against Liam's ear, and watched with satisfaction as a blush crept up his neck. He whispered that he'd told him not to be so careless. Now he'd dropped his clean fork again. He was beginning to realize that the original plot might have truly been derailed. Days passed without any new story beats emerging. He hadn't seen Julian Vance at all. From what he remembered, Julian was a brilliant painter from a prominent family who had eschewed business for art, winning countless awards. The scripted Ethan's interest in him was purely superficial, based on his handsome face from a few televised interviews. He had spammed Julian's social media with fawning comments, never receiving a reply. After the main couple got together, this behavior was framed as harassment, sealing his miserable fate. So Ethan decided to stay far away from anything related to the art world. He sighed, pulling out his phone to play a game. But fate, it seemed, had a twisted sense of humor. During a team match, his gaming partner casually asked if he lived in the city. Ethan confirmed it. His partner typed that an art exhibition was coming to town, and a friend had invited him. He was thinking of going and suggested they could finally meet in person if Ethan was also there. An art exhibition? No way. Too risky. He quickly typed back a polite refusal, claiming he wasn't interested in highbrow culture and suggesting they meet up some other time. After sending the message, he logged off. Liam happened to be walking by and asked why he'd stopped playing. Ethan just said he was done. Then a thought occurred to him. He asked Liam if he knew about any upcoming art exhibitions. Liam shook his head, saying he didn't follow that scene. Good, Ethan said, relieved. Liam sat down beside him, his expression searching. He remembered Ethan used to love art galleries. Ethan's face remained blank. He stated flatly that he had learned not to pretend to be someone he wasn't. There was no point forcing himself into circles where he didn't belong. He was a simple guy, and all that high art stuff was boring, wasn't it? He waited for Liam's agreement, but it didn't come. He turned to look at him. Liam was watching him intently. I'm a simple guy too, he said calmly. Before Ethan could process that, Liam leaned in and gave him a soft, fleeting kiss. As a slow heat began to creep up Ethan's face, Liam smiled. To be honest, I wasn't listening to a word you said. I was just thinking you looked very kissable. He woke the next morning to a new friend request on his phone. Julian Vance. A jolt went through him. Even though he dodged their first meeting, seeing the name felt like a terrible omen, as if the original story was nipping at his heels. He reluctantly accepted. A message popped up immediately. It was Julian, asking if he was feeling better. The memory of that night brought a strange flush to his skin. He replied with a polite and distant thank you. He wanted to ask how Julian got his contact information but decided against it. Julian's next message explained everything. Mr. Caldwell had wanted to introduce them at the gala, but then he heard Ethan was sick. So, he had asked Liam for Ethan's number later, hoping he wasn't being intrusive. He even included a cute emoji. Liam. Ethan's world tilted. Wait a minute. Liam had been with him that entire night. When and how did the two of them connect? He marched to Liam's room and knocked. After a moment, the door opened. Liam was wearing a white bathrobe loosely tied. A drop of water trickled down his collarbone. Ethan quickly averted his eyes, forcing himself to look at Liam's face. Liam seemed surprised, explaining he had just been in the shower. Ethan didn't believe his feigned innocence for a second. He clenched his fists. He asked if Liam had gone to see Julian that night. Liam admitted it freely. It was after Ethan had fallen asleep. He had gone back out as the gala was ending, and his parents had introduced him to Julian, telling him to pass Julian's contact information on to Ethan. He said he had forgotten about it until Julian brought it up the day before. So, They had known each other for weeks, had even talked behind his back. A flare of betrayal ignited in his chest, only to be instantly doused by a wave of cold dread. They were the fated couple. Everything he had with Liam felt stolen. No matter how he tried to disrupt the plot, they would find their way to each other. And his own tragic ending was just as inevitable. What if Liam came to his senses and realized everything Ethan had done was just a desperate act of self-preservation? What if he decided to punish the fraud? He said none of this. He simply took a step back. "I see." He looked at Liam's slightly bewildered face and spoke with genuine sincerity. "Liam, I'm sorry. This whole time he had overstepped. Given their true roles, none of this should have ever happened. From now on, I won't bother you anymore." With that, he turned and walked away, feeling like a madman. To initiate something so intense only to abruptly end it was cruel. But he recognized the story's inexorable pull. It was better to cut his losses now. He didn't want to be beaten up as the other man later. Liam called his name from behind, "Ethan," but he only walked faster, disappearing around the corner. It wasn't until he was safely in his room, his hands trembling as he covered his face, that he vaguely recalled Liam shouting one last question after him. "Is this because you like Julian? Fool. It's not about what I like. It's about who the story needs you to like." Julian messaged him again. He was having a gallery show and invited Ethan to come. It was probably the same exhibition his gaming partner had mentioned. Social etiquette dictated he should accept. But being alone with Julian might upset Liam. As he hesitated, Julian's next message hit him like a ton of bricks. "I've also invited Liam, you should come together." So Liam was the main guest. He was just the plus one. The third wheel. Okay, he typed back. Then he opened his game. His partner was online. He sent a message saying he had changed his mind and was going to the art show after all. The reply was instantaneous and enthusiastic. They could finally meet. Perfect. He would let the fated couple have their time together while he hung out with his gaming buddy. It was a flawless plan. Since that day, his relationship with Liam had turned icy. They put on a show of brotherly affection for their parents, but in private, they were cold strangers. This was what he wanted, wasn't it? Yet a sour feeling lingered in his chest. It felt like no matter how hard he fought, he was being forced to surrender to the plot. The car ride to the gallery was thick with unspoken tension. Liam sat beside him with his eyes closed, utterly silent. The awkwardness was so unbearable that Ethan started rambling, saying how surprised he was that Julian had invited him too, not just Liam. Liam shot him a frigid glare and said nothing. Ethan immediately fell silent. This man was so protective of his future partner that even mentioning his name was an offense. The rest of the drive passed in silence. Even after they arrived and entered the gallery's private reception area, Liam remained mute, engrossed in his phone. Julian seemed to notice the strange atmosphere. He sidled up to Ethan, whispering, asking what was wrong with Liam and if they had fought. Over the past few days, Ethan had actually become friendly with Julian through their texts, but the main couple's progress seemed stalled. Julian wasn't even asking Liam directly. "Why ask me? You should ask him." But Ethan, the disposable side character, wouldn't dare. He whispered back that he and Liam weren't close. As he leaned in to speak, he felt Liam's gaze on him. Hell, so possessive. The old Liam was a cold, hard stone. This new version was something else entirely. A gloomy, menacing specter. Deciding it was best to give them some space, Ethan stood up with a smile, announcing he was going to look at the art. "I'll go too," Liam and Julian said in unison. Ethan was baffled. Julian rose first, gesturing gracefully toward the paintings, offering to be his personal guide. But Liam grabbed Ethan's wrist, his voice flat. He said that wouldn't be necessary. Ethan preferred to look at art alone without commentary. Suddenly, both of them were staring at him. Julian in a white suit, Liam in black. They flanked him like two opposing forces. Was he just a pawn in their drama? They both seemed determined to keep him from the other. He pleaded with them in his head not to drag an innocent bystander into their lovers' quarrel. "Sorry, I don't actually want to see the art," he blurted out, shaking off Liam's hand. "I need to use the restroom." He fled under Julian's surprised gaze. Unbelievably, Liam followed him all the way to the restroom door. Alarm bells screamed in Ethan's head. He held up a hand, him off. Did he think he could corner him here? Not in a public place. He threatened to call security. Liam's expression darkened further. "Ethan," he said, his voice dangerously low. "Are you really that blind? Or are you just pretending not to see that Julian is interested in you?" It was jealousy. He was jealous of Ethan. He quickly swore up and down that he had no interest in the great painter, that he would never dream of poaching his man. Liam's face twisted into something even more complex. "So, he's acceptable, but I'm not? Is he that important to you?" Ethan sighed, exasperated by his stubbornness. He insisted that wasn't what he meant. As Liam opened his mouth to argue, Ethan ducked past him and into the restroom. Liam didn't follow him in. After washing his face and hiding in a stall for a while, Ethan pulled out his phone and messaged his gaming buddy. "I'm here now. Where are you?" No reply. Damn it. Was he being stood up? After waiting in vain, he cautiously exited the restroom, figuring the misunderstanding outside had been resolved. As he rounded a corner, he heard Liam's cool voice. He was telling Julian that they were the ones on the same level. His own invitation seemed superfluous. Ethan winced. What a terrible way to talk to someone. "You'll lose your man if you keep that up." But Julian just laughed. "I don't think Ethan sees it that way." He explained that when he had invited Ethan to the show, the message status had remained on typing for a long time. Then, on a whim, he mentioned he had also invited Liam. The yes came a second later. Ethan froze. So, Julian had never intended to invite Liam? He only did it for him? "Liam, sometimes I think you don't realize how lucky you are," Julian said, stepping closer to meet his gaze. "It's so obvious Ethan likes you. Can't you see it? Good news. They weren't teaming up to destroy him. Bad news. They both seemed to be interested in him." He wasn't sure which scenario was more terrifying. He tried to sneak away, but the squeak of his shoe on the polished floor gave him away. Both men turned and looked at him. He was trapped, cornered again. They looked at him from either side and asked in near-perfect unison. "You heard all of that. Ethan, who do you like?" Fatal question. Could he refuse to answer? He stammered, playing dumb. What was this about liking someone? They were both his friends. He couldn't choose. Couldn't he have both? That seemed to be the wrong thing to say. The look in Liam's eyes became even more frightening. He instinctively shrank toward Julian, who took his arm with a gentle, harmless smile. "Liam, you're scaring him." This world had gone insane. He didn't want to choose either of them, convinced that picking one would mean being torn apart by the other. So when they were distracted, he ran. Again. Thankfully, his gaming partner finally replied. "Just got here." "Where are you?" He quickly typed back. "At the entrance." His partner seemed confused, thinking he was already inside. Ethan explained that the friends he came with were a couple, and they had started fighting, so he bailed. After sending the message, there was a long pause. Then, a new message popped up. "I'm at the entrance." Ethan looked up but didn't see a stranger. He only saw Liam, standing by the doors, looking around for someone. Crap. Was he here to catch him? Ethan turned to Bolt, frantically typing on his phone. "Change of plans. Meet me in Hall 2. Before he could send it, a hand landed on his shoulder. Liam looked down at him, his face a blank mask. "No need for Hall 2. I'm right here." He held up his own phone, displaying their chat. "Now please explain. What did you mean when you said he and I are a couple?" The world crashed down around him. So his gaming partner, the quiet, efficient player who never used voice chat, was Liam. He was the clown. He had been played by everyone. How could he possibly explain that he knew their world was a novel and they were the intended couple? He looked around desperately. "Well, you two just seem like a good match. I kind of ship it, you know?" "Haha." Liam didn't laugh. His voice, usually so calm, held a tremor. "So why did you approach me in the first place? What was it all for?" This was the one thing he could never explain. He looked up at Liam, a bitter smile on his face, and said the cruelest thing he could think of. "I told you, it was just a game. We could have some fun, but whoever got serious first lost." He was not Liam's destiny. He had done nothing to deserve his affection. Once Liam got to know him, he would see the truth. Ethan was just as the script had written him, a worthless, malicious character. He would realize their time together was just a desperate bid for survival, that his feelings were based on a lie. "Ethan." Liam's voice was sharp. "Do you really think saying that absolves you of everything? You are not getting rid of me that easily." He grabbed Ethan's hand. "You're going to regret this." He didn't remember much of how they got home that night. He just knew it ended in Liam's room, with clothes scattered across the floor. Liam's anger was a storm. "Ethan, I just want to know, what are you thinking?" He was rough, desperate, his lips almost drawing blood. Ethan's hair was damp with sweat, the world a dizzying blur. He covered his eyes with his hand. It was too much. But Liam pulled his hand away. "No, don't hide. Look at me." Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, refusing. His voice was hoarse. "You know what kind of person I am. Why do you insist on having these illusions about me?" "No, I know you're not," Liam said, his words confusing. "What I don't understand is how that you could have turned into this." That him? Did Liam see another version of him somewhere? He didn't understand, and he didn't want to. "You're the one who started this." Liam's voice was tight with emotion, but he never became truly violent. Then, a warm drop landed on his chest. Ethan's eyes flew open. Liam's eyes were red-rimmed. "Ethan, what am I going to do with you?" He whispered, his voice cracking as he pulled him into a tight embrace. Oh God, he had really broken his heart. A gnawing unease made him rack his brain, trying to recall any past connection that could explain Liam's strange devotion, but he came up empty. He only knew that before the plot took over, his life was his own. Afterward, he became someone else, irritable, cruel, bitter. If not for that moment of awakening, he would have continued down that path. A notification pinged on his phone. It was Julian. He was apologizing for his behavior the other day. He explained that seeing Liam so tied up in knots with jealousy, he couldn't resist fanning the flames. He then turned on Ethan, saying he so obviously liked Liam too, so why did he keep running away? The way Ethan looked at him was anything but platonic. Honestly, you two drive me crazy. Ethan stared at the screen. Huh? So Julian was actively trying to set them up. He hadn't realized. Julian went on, asking if they had made up after leaving together. Made up? His back was still aching. He sighed and typed back that there was a misunderstanding between them. Julian, now fully invested in his new role as relationship counselor, asked what kind. Ethan tried to summarize his confusion. He thinks I'm a good person. A single question mark appeared in reply. Ethan elaborated. He had been horrible to him, then seduced him and dumped him. Yet Liam acted like he was hopelessly in love, insisting he had changed and wasn't the person he used to be. He wondered aloud if he was just a stand-in for some long-lost love. After a long pause, Julian replied, "This is beyond my expertise. You should probably talk to him about this directly. Damn it. If he could talk to Liam, he wouldn't be having this breakdown over text." But his bad luck wasn't over. He had been so engrossed in his phone that he hadn't noticed Liam approaching from behind until the device was plucked from his hand. "Ethan, who are you texting?" Liam's voice was strained. "Don't you really remember any of it?" He stood up so abruptly he nearly knocked over his chair. Ethan looked down, feigning innocence. He really didn't remember. Liam sighed and went to his desk, pulling a piece of paper from a drawer. He handed it to him. The page was slightly yellowed with age but had been perfectly preserved. It was a certificate for a sponsored individual. The name on it was Liam. The script had been vague about Liam's past, mentioning only that he had faced hardship before being found by the Caldwells. Both parents dead, a grandmother who passed away from illness. He dropped out of school to work, buried in debt. A few lines that defined a tragic beginning. But the document in his hands told a different story. The sick grandmother had received life-saving funds. The boy who should have dropped out had received a generous scholarship and access to tutoring services. "I had a dream once," Liam began. "In it, my life fell apart. I was forced to quit school despite my grades and was treated horribly everywhere I went. When I was finally reunited with my birth family, I was targeted by an imposter who wanted to grind me into the dust. Compared to my life now, it was hell." Ethan stared at him. "Why was it so different?" he asked. "Did you do something to prevent it?" Liam shook his head. Even if he had foreseen the future, he wouldn't have had the power to change it. He pointed to the back of the paper in Ethan's hand. "It's because of this." Ethan turned it over. In the space for the sponsor's name, written in clear script, was his own, Ethan Caldwell. Before the plot had seized control and turned him into a villain, he had been himself for over a decade. His family wasn't wealthy then, and even after being thrust into the role of a rich heir, he never knew what to do with the money. Perhaps out of a desire for good karma or simple boredom, he often donated to charitable causes. Because it wasn't part of the main storyline, the script hadn't interfered. But in doing so, he had inadvertently saved a life from ruin, pulling a young man back from decades of bitterness. Once the plot took over, those memories had grown hazy, sealed away. Only now did they come flooding back. Liam's gaze was unwavering. "The dream didn't tell me your name. After I received the help, I was so grateful. I promised myself I would find my benefactor one day and thank them in person." He paused. "But the story didn't change completely. I was still brought to the Caldwells and I still met you. The moment I learned your name, I didn't know what to think. The person I had admired for years, and the person who tormented me in my dreams, were the same." He looked straight at Ethan. "I refused to believe you could really be that cruel." Ethan felt a sting in his eyes. It felt as if, for the first time in years, someone had seen past the script and into his soul. Liam took his hand, his voice firm and demanding. "Ethan, tell me, which one is the real you?" The tears fell. He couldn't hold them back any longer, and he collapsed into Liam's arms, sobbing freely. Liam confessed everything. He explained that he'd long suspected something was wrong, that their lives felt scripted. His befriending Ethan in the game was a way to find the truth. He noticed that away from the main plot points, Ethan was more himself. The script made him throw out his coffee, but it couldn't stop him from later showing Liam how to use the high-end espresso machine. The script made him throw away his old clothes, but it couldn't change the fact that when Liam opened his closet, it was full of new clothes Ethan had bought for him. The plot could fade his memories, but it couldn't erase the real impact he'd had on Liam's life. He had been alive in someone else's eyes, not as a villain or a plot device, but as himself. In that moment, the final shackle broke. The story, whatever it was, seemed to dissolve from their world. His fate was finally his own. After the misunderstanding was cleared, they finally made their relationship official. But even knowing Julian was just acting, Liam couldn't help but feel a surge of jealousy when he found the old fawning posts the scripted Ethan had made on Julian's social media. He pinned Ethan to the bed, demanding to know if they would have ended up together if he hadn't intervened. Ethan threw up his hands in surrender. That was the plot, not me. Liam was only partially satisfied. His possessiveness was not so easily quelled. That night, he held Ethan so tightly it felt like he was afraid he would disappear. In the hazy moments before sleep, Ethan heard Liam whisper a question. He still wanted to know if, that night with the drug, Ethan's actions had been driven by the plot or by his own will. The drug was the plot, Ethan murmured. He felt Liam tense beside him and quickly added the rest. But coming to you, that was my choice. In the darkness, the sound of their heartbeats was the only thing that mattered, impossible to tell one from the other. Perhaps, in that moment, they were beating for the same reason. Liam needed to trust that beyond the script, Ethan would always choose him, just as he had chosen to believe in Ethan, even when the story told him not to. The long night was over. They were each other's light.